So here's a quick setup of OpenClaw to interact with your Google ecosystem. So Gmail, Google Calendar, you name it. Now, before I jump into this demo, if you're trying to set this up yourself, this is such an exciting tool to play with. I want to caveat that my entire demonstrations exist within a Mac Mini. So I am going into this Mac Mini to do this work. It's completely isolated from my day-to-day work. So take the security caveats as it comes. And also, I have dedicated email addresses specifically for experimentations and things like this, completely isolated from my everyday environment. Now, with that caveat out of the way, let's jump into OpenClaw. I'll do a quick demo here, and then I'll show you how you can get something like this on your own environment. So I'm going to come in here, copy this simple prompt. If you have OpenClaw set up, you can follow along. This tutorial, this demo is not about setting up OpenClaw, but specifically the integration for Gmail and the Google ecosystem. So I'm going to come here. I think I have a new session. Let's paste this. I want to check my recent communications. Use Gawk. I'll explain what that is. Gmail, search, blah, blah, blah. And please show me just the sender and the subject. So I'm being a little bit high level with this. And this is my prompt to OpenClaw. And with any lock, it will respond. It's taking some actions. It's using Gawk. And it should hopefully at some point, I think we're having an issue here. Yes, yes. And that's something I'm happy this is happening because that was an observation I had during the test where it's not as robust as I would expect it to be. So here it's done a check, it's looked at my last 5 unread emails and giving me the email and the sender. So if you go in here, these are the unread emails and the senders for this particular demo email address. So how is this working? And I can go in and draft emails, send out emails, do a lot of stuff, reply. It's all possible with this setup. Now, if you want to get this set up, you're going to want to come in to OpenClaw. There is a way to do it on the CLI. I'm just going to show you the way to do it on the UI. So assuming you have the UI open, you're going to go to skills. There are some built-in skills here. Just open that up. Just scroll through. I'm still experimenting with this and testing out the different skills for different needs. The skill you're going to be looking for is what we just looked at called Gawk. Starts with a G. So this skill is what you want. So go ahead and enable that skill. That's essentially what you need. And here, if we read this, it says Google Workspace CLI for Gmail, Calendar, Drive, Contacts, Sheets, Docs, and much more. This is just what you want if you work within the Google ecosystem. So go ahead and get that enabled. But that's not enough. Just getting that enabled is just the beginning of it. So I do have an instructions put here. I will leave it in the description for this video if you want to follow along, because there's some more setup that is needed. Now, the very first thing you're going to want to do once you have that enabled is to work within the Google Cloud Console, Google Cloud Console. So sign into that. You're going to want to create a credentials.json file. So let me go over here to the Google Cloud Console. This is notoriously, in my opinion, not the easiest environment to work in. And I think Google should get this feedback. The UI could be so convoluted. Each time I come in, I'm having to look for where things are. Now, with that rant out of the way, once you come in here, click on clients, you're going to want to create a new client. So click on create new client, select the type, desktop app, follow that, put in the details, give it a name. I already did that, and I have a client here called FD Dev for a demo, and I named it the Mac Mini. Now, once you have that, it will give you a client ID. Of course, this is a key you don't want to show up to folks. So go ahead, open up that client, and then download that JSON file. I don't want to go in there just in case anything shows I don't want to be seen. So go ahead and download the JSON file. That becomes important. So download that JSON file. In my case, I'm saving it on my desktop or on my downloads folder as credentials.json. So this is what will allow the OAuth authentication. Now, once that is done, just simply copy this command, go over to your terminal. I'm going to go ahead and clear here. And you're going to want to run this gov authenticate credentials and reference the file you just downloaded. So that becomes a very important step to do. Now, once you have that done, we're not finished yet. You're going to want to also run this command and replace this with the email address you use to authenticate on the Google Cloud Console. So in here, I will replace this with whatever name. So put in your name here. If your email is at john at gmail.com, you're gonna want to put that in here to authenticate. So replace that with that correct email. Now, once that's done, you should be able to work. But in some cases, you may be required to run these two steps. I was forced to do it. I'm really not sure why this was needed. But with Gawk, you want to export this to your variable. Again, take a screenshot of this, pause the video, and type this command into your editor. So just do export this, and then you're gonna want to replace that with a password. So replace that with your actual strong password. Obviously, I executed unfortunately, so I hope this doesn't break my stuff. Now, once you have that done, obviously you're gonna want to go in now to open this up in Cursor, wherever you have your OpenClaw JSON file. Open that up, and then you're gonna want to make sure there is a variable in there that has that key. Again, I'm not gonna show mine because obviously you see the keys I have set up there, so I'm just trying to be very cautious here. But when in doubt, take a screenshot of it, put it into ChatGPT or into Gemini and ask for help. It will give you help on that piece. Now, once all of that is set up, only then do you now have a way of talking to Google. And even before that, you're going to want to go back over to the Google services. If I am here, you're going to want to go over to this, click on APIs, and enable a couple of APIs for that application. So in this case, I have Gmail API enabled, and a few more, depending on what you want. You're going to want to click on Gmail, click on Enable API and Services. So scroll down. I want Google Drive. I want Gmail. So click on Gmail in this case. And for your scenario, you would have something different here that says enable that. And if you want some other services, just go through that same exercise and enable that. So in my case, I did Google Drive, I did the calendar, I did Gmail, Sheets, and a few more. So just depending on what you need, go ahead and enable those services. Because if you don't enable these APIs, when GOG authenticates, it wouldn't have access to the particular services, right? So you have the authentication, then you have the authorization to use these particular services. And so this step takes care of that for you. Now, once you have it, you can now copy this command, OpenClaw gateway restart, because it needs to pick up that the new skill has been set up well. But a good way to test it, and now this might fail just because I think I messed up my my key there and need to fix that back. If you do this, oh, it actually worked. Uh, this GOG Gmail search is on red. It's actually searching for unread emails for this particular inbox and showing that here. So just to give you an idea, size space collab, you can see the emoji. If I go back into this email, there is size space collab. So it's actually authenticating and it's doing work within this particular Gmail. You really, this is where I have to take a pause here to remind folks, this is to me a throwaway Gmail. It's a Gmail. If somebody hacks into it, it's just for tutorials and demos like that, right? You want to keep your personal Gmail as far away from this as possible. I think that's what comes with this territory. Now, once this is done, because I can confirm that Gawk is actually working, and because we now have Gawk, and honestly, I don't know what Gawk stands for, because we now have it enabled here. That's how, if I go back into my chat experience, I can put the prompt I did at the beginning to ask it to essentially draft up emails. And if I wanted to, I could do something to the effect of send, and this is another email. All right. So I can do something like that. So we're not just reading emails. I can actually send an emails to, again, another address I have, a throwaway address, to thank them for using that. So this is done. Now, if I go over out of my Mac Mini, this particular email is not within this Mac Mini, so I'm gonna have to get out of the Mac Mini, open up here, and make sure I'm in this. And there you go. So I said, hey, send an email to that address from this address. Thank them for using AI. Very, very simple. And that email was sent. So now you can imagine that with this connected to your Telegram, because obviously I have WhatsApp, Telegram, or Slack, wherever you have this bot connected to for OpenClaw, wake up in the morning and just say, hey, clean up my inbox and send thank yous to everybody. You can have this automation now working. And this is what it looks like in practice. So I'm going to go back here. We're going to go back to this. And that email was sent. But just to recap the steps again, you want to come into skills. Skills is really what you need. Make sure you have the skills set up. There are multiple different options. I think Gawk is the particular skill I'm just going with. Activate that, run through the commands. Again, I'll leave that in the description below. And you should be able to have this automating your Gmail and your calendar. So hopefully this was helpful. This is such a fast moving space. I imagine that by the time you're watching this, I wouldn't be surprised if these steps change. And if that happens to you, just go ahead, take a screenshot of whatever errors you're seeing. Just take a screenshot of it, put it into Gemini, put it into Claude, put it into OpenAI, and then ask them to explain what's happening and help you along the way. That will get you to what you need. So again, hopefully this was helpful. If you like this, share this with somebody that will get value out of it. As always, this is Fru. I will see you in the next demo.